Well, welcome back, everyone. It's Thursday, time to get smart. Although we seem to have fallen into a lull this week, right, Steve?
It's that time of year, Jesse. It really is.
I know it is.
Go easy on me today.
Okay, I promise you, we'll go easy on you. I
right.
suppose almost everybody you do business with is on vacation.
It's true. Everybody's,
I know.
if they haven't left, they're 2 feet out the door. Yeah.
Okay, so they want to get a long weekend in. Is that what we're saying?
Oh my goodness, everybody's ready.
Well, obviously, this is Steve Carlton, first Vice President, Jenny Montgomery Scott, to talk about all things related to finance. Now, we do have a question for you. Summer's over. We've been talking all summer long about things that have happened, some we expected, some we didn't expect. From your perspective, what was the summer like?
Oh, wow.
Big one, huh?
Yeah, it's a good question. So,
Any surprises?
So there was a lot of things that we expected that didn't happen.
Okay.
So, everybody knew that bond yields were going to go up. Mm-hmm. What happened? They went down. Everybody knew that stock prices were high in the U.S., and valuations are steep, and we're probably due for a correction. Remember back in May, we were talking about sell away.
Sell away, that's right.
And I said, don't do anything, measure, look at the overall picture. And sure enough, the S&P new high, NASDAQ new high, Dow new high. It didn't sell off. We knew going in the driving season, oil prices always go up.
Right.
And what happened? They've sold off and gone lower. So there's been a lot of surprises. Some of the things that we thought we were very sure of, and the general markets were reacting to, went the other direction.
Well, it's so funny. It's almost like we're setting this up. Everyone knew, fill in the blank, right?
Yeah, everyone
all
knew.
The profits are out there, right?
And
the value of the dollar too, I think, right?
That's actually a great one. I mean,
sure.
we've been watching it the last few days, and what's happening in Europe and with Ukraine and with Russia. The euro going down and the flight to safety. We're seeing the treasury yields get much lower, and we're seeing the U.S. dollar shoot to new highs. So big surprises in that area. That was not what everybody knew was going to happen this year.
Boy, I'll say that. And we always talk about this. There are things going on globally that we make reference to, and they do. They always have a way of affecting the local economies because they affect the stock market.
Sure.
They affect the evaluation of the dollar, right? And all these things. Yeah. All right, if we're going to stick with this theme, everybody knew.
Everybody knew, all right.
Moving into fourth quarter. What does everybody know about fourth quarter?
The third and fourth quarter, what are some of the things that are coming? Everybody knows that it's an election year. It's going to be a very, very important election year for both parties, critical for control.
Now, does that, I'm sorry, just jump in for a second.
Yeah.
Traditionally, when there's an election, I know it affects the world of finance because it's an election.
Right.
Is it a positive effect or a negative effect?
To very broad strokes, I think generally it's positive, right? Because there's change coming, or it's a confirmation that things are working right, and there's a confirmation for another 2 years. And so generally it's pretty positive. The third quarter, everybody's kind of paying a lot of attention to earnings. I think the earnings that we hear over the next month, how companies did, how companies were affected by what's going on in Europe and how the Asian economy is doing. We talked about what's happened in Russia and Ukraine. Companies like Coca-Cola and Pepsi, McDonald's, IBM, all across the country and all across the world, these companies locally and nationally are influenced by what's going on over there. So I think there's going to be a lot of attention paid, and that's a lot of what I talked about back in this, in May and June. These next 2 quarters, we've had some good encouraging signs, like second quarter GDP came out today better than expected.
Right.
Unemployment numbers better than expected. So things are firming up. They're not as good as maybe some would want, but the U.S. seems to be in a firmer setting, a firmer, stronger position.
Let me just cycle back on something, because you mentioned the GDP a lot, and I know that's important. Just for our viewers, gross domestic product, durable goods, things produced in the United States, which if those numbers are good, that's a great indication that people are spending money manufacturing and spending money right here at home. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. GDP is gross domestic product, what we produce, and that GDP number, we were looking to see how much was inventory building versus actual consumption. And what the good news was that came out today is that the actual inventory building was less than what we initially thought, which means the companies haven't stockpiled all the stuff that they're going to have to dump in September, October, November. And what we saw was the consumer demand was healthier than expected. And so both sides, there's a lot of layers to this number that came out, but really, once you dig a little bit deeper into this, very encouraging signs. So I know the overall, I think, attitude of most Americans, I think if you read and listen to the radio, the newspaper, and everything else, people are saying they're not doing as well as they'd like to do. They feel like they're struggling more than they did in previous years. I would give them some hope to say things are firming up. As the unemployment numbers get better, jobs get more robust, hiring starts to happen, and incomes start to go up. So
maybe the overall there that everybody
Everybody
knows that we probably will stay on the same growth pattern that we've sort of witnessed, given the surprises, the ups and downs and whatever, but overall just that sense of steady growth.
Yeah, I think the big wild cards is the Middle East, what's happening in Asia, what's happening in Europe, the things outside of us, they can affect and influence our markets, and those are the things we can't control. So that's the wild card, but that's what we talk about, paying attention to those things and seeing if it changes our overall investing strategy.
Now, just in terms of the local scene here, we don't have really any of the numbers yet on traffic or income or betting at the Saratoga track. We'll start to get these numbers right after Labor Day and how the retailers did in Glens Falls and Lake George region and in Saratoga. So we'll make sure that we catch you up on that. Arrow Financial, the parent company of Saratoga National and Glens Falls National Bank, posted some news, didn't they?
That's right. So if you had basically a 2% dividend, so if you had 100 shares of their stock, you'll be getting the end of September 29th, you'll be getting an additional 2 shares. So that was a little bit of good news on that side.
Well, again, that sort of steady, slow growth that we're talking about.
Yeah, they've done a lot of good things.
And of course, you can't drive around Saratoga without noticing that one certain construction company, Bonaccio Construction, boy, what an amazing company, right?
Yeah.
Brand new project out on West Avenue, I guess the corner of West and Church?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's
Actually,
going in there?
I drive by it when I go down past the hospital, going through town, and yeah, so they're going to be putting in very nice, good quality 1, 2, 3 bedroom apartments for lease. Really nice location within walking distance of downtown, and it's I think about that project and what's going on with the Algonquin next year in 2015, which is right on Broadway, beautiful location. Both those projects are going to be great tenant space for people wanting to move to Saratoga or live here.
2 very different kinds of projects. One is a new build, right, and the other is a complete restoration of historic property. Interesting couple of historic properties in Glens Falls are also being restored right on Glen Street. So overall, I think with all of that, new iPhone coming out, the iPhone 2.
September 9th, the iPhone 6.
I'm just on top of all this stuff. You can take a picture with these phones.
He still has the flip phone. I've got to get him to upgrade. It's bad. I may have to get it for your birthday or something. But yeah, iPhone 6. And this is going to be the challenge to the Galaxy and the HTC and the LG that have gone bigger screens. This is Apple's shot across the bow to take control and take the lead again. So this will be big news.
Boy, every time you think your world's tough and I think my world's tough, I wouldn't want to be in the phone business, I'll tell you that. These people battle it out like crazy.
Everything's obsolete so fast.
All right, so relax over the weekend.
Yes,
I think
please.
we're seeing each other.
Yes,
that'll be fun.
yes.
And we'll hit it again next week. And as the numbers start to roll in from the summer and whatever, we'll keep you posted.
Great, Jesse.
So thanks a lot, Steve.
Always a pleasure.
Yes. See this interview again? Head to our website, looktvonline.com.